Hello friends, and a warm welcome. I've been chomping at the bit to film this video because I'm so very excited about a new makeup product that's come out recently that is literally a product I dreamed would be created. In fact, in my August 25th video about my 8-minute makeup routine, I actually said this. My absolute dream would be to have an entire face palette that's all cream products. It would include cream blush, cream highlight, and cream contour in colors that we could choose that would look the best on us. Now, that would really speed up the application process, but I'm not holding my breath that anyone's going to come out with that palette anytime soon. Well, I was dead wrong in thinking that a brand wouldn't come out with a product like this because someone actually has. And I'll share it with you in just a moment when we take this product for a test drive. But first, let me welcome back those of you who are returning and also welcome those of you who may be here for the very first time. As a makeup artist who's worked with literally hundreds of women over the age of 50 for the past 10 years, there's nothing I enjoy more than seeing how the right makeup applied in the right way, in the right place, can absolutely transform our look. And most importantly, it can do wonders for our confidence. So if you like to see the tips, techniques, and products in action that make the biggest difference for us now, you have definitely come to the right place. And if you like what you see today, I do hope you'll join our wonderful family and subscribe before you leave. And if you hit that bell icon below the video, you'll also be notified each Thursday when a new video is available. Now let me share with you this dream makeup product that's just recently come out. It's from Makeup Forever, and it's their HD Skin All-in-One Face Palette. And I want to thank Marina and Manal for sending it my way. And Manal, I do hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. It's a multi-use all-cream palette that gives you everything you need for a full complexion routine in one handy travel-friendly compact. There are 3 different cream foundations, 4 concealers and correctors, 2 blushes, and 1 highlight. And this palette comes in 2 different versions. I have the palette called Harmony 1, which is made for light to medium skin tones, but there's also a Harmony 2 palette, which is for tan to deep skin tones. What's also interesting is that this palette is magnetic, and each of the shades can be removed. What I hope this means is that there will eventually be refills available in not only the current colors in the palette, but hopefully even more color options. That's my next dream that I hope will be realized. Makeup Forever also makes the exact same magnetic palette case that holds 12 different foundation shades. So I assume that any of those other foundation shades could be put into this face palette, but that gets a little bit costly when the full foundation palette has to be purchased. So hopefully refills and other single colors will eventually be available. Now, I know some of you may not be familiar with Makeup Forever, so let me provide just a little bit of background, which I think you might find interesting. It's a really intriguing brand because it's made up of a collective of makeup artists who began creating innovative cosmetics for makeup artists in 1984. The brand is known for its flawless HD finishes and edgy color palettes, and they believe in creating high-performance products that make professional-grade cosmetics available to everyone. Now let's take a closer look at the products and colors that come in the palette called Harmony 1. 2 of the 3 foundation shades are similar, and the other one is slightly deeper. And by the way, there is no name or number given to any of these shades. So let me go ahead and swatch each of them for you. These top 2 match my skin tone so well that you probably can't even see them. And the one below it is just a little bit too deep for me. Next are the conceal and correct shades. One has a very light peach color, which works really well to cover under eye blue and purple circles, and one is a slightly yellow-green color, which can work to cover redness, and the other 2 are lighter and darker concealer shades. Here is the light peach color, the yellow-green undertone is below it, and then below that are the 2 concealer shades. And again, because they blend in so well, they'll probably be a little bit difficult to see. The blushes are pretty similar to each other in color, but one seems to be slightly brighter and a bit peachier, and the other seems to be a softer pink color. Here's the peachier, brighter color on top and the soft pink below. For contour, there's a lighter and a slightly deeper contour shade. Both are on the warm side, but one seems to have a little bit more of a yellow undertone, and the other seems to have a little bit more of a red undertone. But quite honestly, it's really hard to tell. I even asked my husband what he thought because he has an art background and is really knowledgeable about color theory. But he also felt one was a bit deeper, but he couldn't tell much of a difference between them either. And here are the two contour shades with the lighter one on top. And there's also one highlighter, which is slightly pearlized. And here's the highlighter. These shades are incredibly creamy and just glide on, but there is a difference in the textures between them. The concealers are a bit thicker, which certainly makes sense because concealers provide more coverage. And the Makeup Forever website suggests using a brush to apply these products, so that's what I'm going to be using to spread the foundation color and the correctors and concealers. So first, let's go ahead and apply the foundation. I'm mixing the two lightest foundation shades together, and I'm just going to dot them on. And I think the light one is actually a little bit better, so I'm putting a little bit more of that in. If you just looked at these shades in the pans, I don't think you'd assume they would be as creamy as they actually are. And so let's blend this in. Really easy to blend. And I just need to add a little bit more coverage to the middle part of my face. I think things are evened out pretty well. Next, I'm going to color correct under my eyes with the light peach shade. And I'm using my Sigma 4D HD brush to just dot this on in the area where I really have that blue-purple coloring under my eyes. And then I'm just going to press it in lightly. And then I'm just dotting on the lightest concealer shade right underneath. Also going to put this in a couple other areas where I need a little bit more coverage, the age spots. That really does provide good coverage. The age spots always give the best test to how good a coverage I'm getting with a concealer. And then I just want to dot this on under my eyes. Then I like to take this lightest concealer and bring it down just a little bit further into sort of a triangle under my eyes. Lightening up just the middle part of the face in this area can really make a difference. I always like to give a little extra coverage here, but make sure to blend it in really well. For areas where you have redness, you can dot on just a little bit of that yellow-green corrector and then pat on the concealer closest to your skin tone, and that can really do the trick. But the foundation and the concealer pretty well covered any redness I have, so I'm going to forego the yellow-green corrector at this point. For contour, I'm going to use the shade that's slightly darker. I'm just going to pat it on with my fingers, and you can see how thin this is, which makes it so easy to apply. And I'm going to use my Huda Beauty brush to blend it up under the cheekbones. And look how easily that blends in. And that's what you want. I don't think I really need to even go around the edges with my foundation brush. And I usually have to do that so there are no harsh edges. All I can say is this makeup is pretty mistake-proof. And that's a really good thing. And I'm bringing it down along my neck area. But just to be on the safe side, I am going to go around the edges with my foundation brush. I think that's always a nice touch. I'll definitely go with the blush that's more of a pink rather than the brighter, slightly peachier tone. Start at my temple. Oh my gosh, this just blends so easily. It's incredible. And again, I think this is another example of how this makeup is really mistake-proof because there's no way you could get a harsh look with this blush. Just add a little bit more because this is a fairly light color, but you can build it up. And I'm going to take a little bit and just bring it here. And the last step is the highlighter, which has a soft glow, but which really isn't a strong highlight look. And the highlighter goes above the blush on the upper part of the cheekbones, from about the middle of the eye up to the temple. And put a little bit here, my cupid's bow. And I think you can tell what a nice soft glow this gives. I'll go ahead and apply my lipstick off camera and I'll be right back. Let me briefly share with you the other makeup that I used today, and then I'll give you my final thoughts on this Makeup Forever all-in-one face palette. For my brows, I first applied my ABH Brow Powder Duo and then used the Merit 1980 Brow Gel to keep the brows in place and to add a little bit more volume to the brows. I also used just a very small amount of the iMethod Brow Pomade to give the top of my brows a little bit more definition because they are a bit scraggly looking across the top, especially due to a scar that I have near the top of one of my brows. And I always have to remember to screw on the top of that pomade really well because otherwise it can dry out. My eye primer is the Makeup by Mario Prep and Set, which includes a cream eye primer and a powder. Now this eye primer gives me the very best coverage on my eyelids of any of the eye primers that I have, but I do wish the two creams were a bit creamier in texture. They're slightly on the stiff side, and that may be because they've dried out a bit over time. So I try to be very careful in how to apply it and not rub it across that delicate eye area. I try to dot it on and then press it in. And I really like applying the powder over the cream eye primer since that step makes it so much easier to apply powder eyeshadow to the eyelids. And here's the Makeup by Mario product that I use in the shade Light. I use a combination of the two eye primer colors on my lids and then I put the powder over it. For my eyeshadow, I used my BH Cosmetics Passion in Paris palette. Luckily, I think this palette is still available, and I'm so glad it is. Makeup companies have a tendency to discontinue palettes pretty quickly, but this one is really a gem, and I'm glad it's still around. And I also use the deepest blue from this palette mixed with a little bit of black for my eyeliner. I applied the Honest Beauty Lash Primer under Tarte's new Tubing Mascara on my top lashes, and here's the lash primer as well as the new Tubing Mascara from Tarte. And as many of you know, I cannot do without this bottom lash mascara from Clinique. Just look at this tiny little brush, and that's why it works so well on the bottom lashes. And on my lips, I have my Age Perfect Lip Liner in Perfect Burgundy, a L'Oreal matte lipstick, which has unfortunately been discontinued, and I combined two colors from Wet and Wild, Pure Garnet and Fuchsia with Blue Pearl, and put my Sephora gloss in the color Wild over the lipstick. Here are the two Wet and Wild colors and the gloss. I also toned down the glow just a little bit by using my Laura Mercier powder on my T-zone area, and then I also used my Maybelline Banana powder under my eyes just so the concealer wouldn't crease. And my last step was applying just a tiny little bit of Hourglass's Ambient Light finishing powder over my entire look. And the finishing powder I used is the middle top row color. Oh, and I don't want to forget, I also used a fabulous face primer, which I really love and I keep going back to, from makeup artist Eve Pearl. It's her primer moisturizing treatment. In fact, I just had to order another one because I'm running very low. Now for my thoughts on the Makeup Forever HD Skin All-in-One Palette. I absolutely love how easily these products apply. For the light to medium toned skin, there's a good range of shades for the foundation and the concealer, since the shades can always be combined to customize a color. I also love having lighter and slightly deeper foundation and concealer shades in one convenient palette, because then you can always have all the concealers and foundation colors you need in one place that will work in both the winter and in the summer, because we do have a little bit lighter skin usually in the winter than we do in the summer. The Light Peach Concealer does a really nice job of brightening the under eye area, and it's also nice to have one corrector, the yellow-green tone corrector, that you can use if you have some redness you want to cover up. As I mentioned earlier, the correctors and the concealers are slightly heavier consistencies to provide greater coverage, but they still glide on extremely easily. The contours apply absolutely effortlessly because of how lightweight they are, and yet they do provide some good definition for the face, and you saw how easily they blended in. And they could certainly be used as eyeshadow if you used an eye primer underneath. And having one lighter pink blush and one slightly brighter Dew Your Peach blush is a plus in this palette. And the highlighter provides a beautiful soft glow, which is really flattering on mature skin. My only suggestions would be to have a blush shade that would offer more contrast, and I do so hope that Makeup Forever will come out with additional single shades of blush and contour that can be popped into the palette, as well as single shades of foundation, concealer, and corrector that can serve as refills. The overall look created by this palette, I feel, is incredibly soft and natural, and also lights up the face with a soft sheen, which is lovely, especially for those of us over 50. The formulas work very well for those of us with dry and combination skin, but frankly, I'm not so sure if they'd work as well for oily skin. But powder and a mattifying face primer can do wonders to help tone down the glow. But if you do have oily skin and you have tried this palette, please let us know in the comments section below what your experience has been with it. And there's no question that this palette offers wonderful convenience, since having all of our face products together in one place can certainly speed up our makeup application. And this palette configuration is also fantastic for travel. And I do want to just take a moment to address the price of this palette. It is $85, which is definitely pricey. But if you consider what you'd pay separately for all the products that you have in this palette, there's foundation, corrector, concealer, contour, blush, and highlighter, I think you'd have to agree that this Makeup Forever palette is really quite an amazing bargain. I hope you found this video helpful, and if so, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe before you leave. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about this look and the Makeup Forever palette in the comments section below. And if you'd like more makeup tips and suggestions, as well as some fun short articles to read, I have a weekly newsletter that I think you might really enjoy. To receive it, just drop me a note at boomerandbeyondbeauty@gmail.com, and I'll make sure it comes your way every Thursday. Until next week, I wish you good health and happiness, and hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. Take care.